Hi, welcome to today's video. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I'm going to be chatting to you today about the Escape from Alcatraz Triathlon and my experience. So welcome, my name's Annie Brooks. I haven't done a video in so long, but hopefully this is a great one to restart this. This channel's basically going to be more so about my triathlons, my adventures and my travel really. So if you're into that, be sure to hit the subscribe button and follow me on Instagram at @itsanniebean as I talk about loads more stuff on there. Right, so Escape from Alcatraz Triathlon. I took part in this. This is my medal. Yeah, I took part in this in June this year and it was probably one of the most incredible experiences of my life, not just in terms of races but just in general events. Proper bucket list item checked off, and wow, I wanted to talk to you about the process that you go through to enter and a little bit about my experience really. But obviously if you've got any questions, just ask me and I'll do my best to help. Just to flag, I'm no pro. I can kind of label myself as a look pro, go slow kind of triathlete. If you want to read about it, I've just done an article in the 220 Triathlon Magazine August edition. So if you want to read about it, you can read my full race report on there as well. Right, let's get to it. So Escape from Alcatraz Triathlon. It's a bucket list item for many. It's hard, it's in San Francisco. It takes in some iconic spots in San Francisco. It consists of a 1.5 mile swim from Alcatraz Island, jumping off a boat. Then once you get to shore, you've got a small run. You have got a small run into the bike, which is 18 miles of hills up and down through a park. It's pretty iconic. It's pretty hard, but it's good. And then you're back and off on a 8-mile run, which takes in the sand ladder of 200 steps and sandy beach, mixed terrain. It is hard and it's 8 miles and then you're done. Sounds good, right? So to enter this race, you have to go through a ballot entry, a bit like London Marathon. You have to try and get a spot. It's not easy. I entered back in 2019 originally with my husband. He got a spot, but at the time we were so busy that year and just financially couldn't afford it, so we didn't take it. After lockdown, both desperate to do races, and essentially we made a pact that if one of us got it, we had to do it. You gotta really wanna do it. It's expensive. I can't remember the exact cost, so I'm just gonna pop it down here. As you can see, yes, it is. It's expensive, and especially if you're coming from the UK and you've got your travel costs on top of that. If you wanted to, you could easily attach it onto a holiday. So start off your holiday by doing the Alcatraz Triathlon and then heading around California. I've been many times, so if you want some tips on where to go, just let me know. So obviously, got the ballot spot, I've entered, I've got my flights, and I am going for accommodation. Accommodation, obviously, there's so many places you can stay in San Francisco. I like a bit more chill and I wanted some time to train. So we didn't really want to be going out riding on the busy roads in San Francisco. I decided we were going to go over the bridge about 40 minutes away to a place in the Tri-Valley called Pleasanton. Great rides there, just fantastic. There was swimming as well, great runs, and it was just more of a chilled environment, but didn't take very long to get back over to San Francisco. I was there quite a few days before anyway, so I wanted time to get used to the time zone, which a lot of people forget about when they're doing these races. It is a big jump time zone wise, so be careful about jet lag. Don't kind of rock up 2 days before. It might take a little bit of time for you to settle, but if you want somewhere that's sort of easier to ride around, Tri-Valley is fantastic, and I really do highly recommend Pleasanton. So down at the expo, you've obviously got your shops, etc., but you've also got a step-by-step process in registering. It sounds daft, but I was like, why have they got the step-by-step? And it was probably one of the best things you could do for a big race. I quite enjoyed, like, step 1, let's go register, sign in, take your passport, ID, your paperwork. I mean, I print everything off like that. Then you go to the next step, pick up your t-shirt. Next step, pick up your timing chip. Next step, get your number wristband put on. Next step, pick up your swag, which is this year was a backpack, towel, bottle. You normally can select it what you want when you're doing your registration, your payment for registration. You select it on the website which ones you want, and then you go and collect those. So it's pretty good, and it just funnels through, and then you're sorted. To be honest with you, I would personally recommend this to anyone in any race. If you have the opportunity to rack your bike the day before, do it. You can for this race. I would suggest doing it. Putting my bike in and being able to see in the daylight where my bike was so much easier, because on the day of the race, yes, you can go in and put your stuff near your bike, but you're pretty much in the dark because it's about 4 in the morning. Difficult to sort of get that sighting. Some people do this, some people don't, but I tend to, in any transition races, I stand, take myself, once I've put my stuff out, I take myself to where the swim entry is in and what I'm going to be looking at. Then I'm looking at where I'm coming in off the bike, what I'm going to be looking at, and I just like to get my bearings. There is, this is every year, but when I did it this year, there was different country flags down the side of the racks, so you could see all the way along. I could navigate that way by, oh, I'm near South Africa, right? Yeah, I'm that's my rack, and then I was able to run in and find my bike really well. You know, it just takes that pressure off. You rack your bike, you can rack it before, you don't have to. I did a lot of training before. Swimming doesn't bother me too much. I love swimming. I feel like I'm a confident swimmer, and I've done sea swimming, quite hard swims with my husband, who's a triathlon coach. We did a lot of training in terms of sighting, crocodile eyes, and obviously with bilateral breathing, I'm obviously better on one side than the other. And obviously with this kind of race, if I'm getting smacked in the face by the waves on one side, I'm gonna need to breathe to the other, and if that's my bad side, I need to be more confident with it. So we did a lot of drills on that. Then bike-wise, I have had to really, really work on it. And instead of doing more turbo sessions for this race, and it was about bike handling, to be quite honest, because this is a tricky route, it's up and down, it's all over the place. You need to be good with your bike handling skills, and the only way to do that is actually get out on your bike. So we did that with a lot of hills, and then the run was going to be a bit on sand and a bit traily. I'm already part of a running club, so I'd obviously started doing off-road runs. So that was kind of the training. We did quite a lot on it, and I did feel confident going into the race. So it's race day, and it's first thing obviously is to get to the swim. Once you put everything in your transition, you're off. You've got coaches that take you out to the boat. You have to stick to the times. So on the day before, I forgot to mention this, but the day before the race, you have to go to the mandatory race briefing. You have to go to that, and he will give you the strict times of everything. Bear in mind, you cannot miss these things. People have missed the start of the race because they've missed the coach. So make sure you get on, there's quite a few, but just make sure you get on those coaches. They'll take you to the boat, everyone gets on the boat, and then it's out to Alcatraz Island before you be jumping off. So off went the pros and me to go next, because then the kayak could spot me. So if you haven't watched the live video, it's hilarious because there's all these people all watching, and I had been so nervous about this jump because I was like, I don't know how to gracefully jump in the water. I've had some disasters of me jumping in water, which have ended up being completely bruised. Don't ask, I don't know how. But I was very panicked about it, but I literally had no time to think about it. The pro athletes jumped, and then they were like, I was like, do I need to go? You should have gone. I was like, oh, and I just like leapt off the boat and started. It was so foggy. I can't even begin to tell you how foggy it was. For this race, they normally tell you there's certain points that you sight along the way, and I was aiming for, you know, I know where I've got to sight. Could I see anything? No. The only thing I could see in front of me was the blue swim hats, which I could see them, and I was like, I'm keeping up. That didn't last long. It was like just sighting, watching the blue swim hats, and over each side, there's like a tunnel, and there are so many kayaks and people on the water. I've never seen so many in a race. Sighting was really hard on that stretch down, especially. I just couldn't see anything. Obviously, before I knew it, people were passing me, and I was like, I just need to get into my own rhythm. You know, I just need to make it out of the water. There is a cut off for the swim, which is 60 minutes. So that was my goal. I was like, As long as I get out the water in 60 minutes, it's fine. If for any reason you don't make the 60 minutes and you get pulled out, don't worry, you can still carry on with the race. I was actually swimming really well. As you come down and head along, as you're coming on the stretch back in, it's this point I had people swimming on top of me. You know what it's like when it's a busy race? It does get like that. So if you are gonna do this race, I can't stress this enough, bilateral breathing is your best friend. There's either waves, hands, feet. You just need to adapt yourself. It's just being proactive with it. But I made it out in, I think it was just over 40 minutes. So, you know, given that I was just trying to make a cut-off, I was like, happy days. Next thing, as you come out of the water, there is a tarmac path that you need to run along to get to transition. And it's a little bit of a way. It's maybe about 2 minutes. Can leave a bag to collect once you get out of the water, to put your trainers on, to run to transition, to take them off, to put your bike shoes. What I did was I actually had, they're like water shoes, like ones for like stand-up paddle boarding. So I swam in them as well, and then was straight out of the water and able to run. Just take it steady. Some people did it barefoot. If you're confident with that, go for it. For my race day, it was raining sideways, like full on raining. Like I felt like as a Brit I'm supposed to be fine with this. I was not fine with this. It was sideways rain. It was foggy, obviously getting in from the swim. It was sideways rain. It felt like when I did London Tri in 2021, where it was just like, yeah, it was windy, it was rainy. This was the only day that I'd been in California where it had rained. Luckily, we'd put in a lightweight bike jacket and then off on the 18-mile bike. Descending is my least favourite part on a bike. I don't mind going uphill, I just can't stand descending. And descending in sideways rain with wind, with loads of people, it was a very busy course. Wasn't the most fun I'd ever had. You are advised that a road bike is better than a TT bike. I decided to leave my TT bike at home and I took over my road bike. You can hire them. I wanted to ride something that I was really comfortable on, considering that this was going to be a hard course. I think after I'd done the descent, there's a descent that takes you down and you go along the beach as you're heading into the park. And that one, on the way down, is so, it gets a bit busy and I hated it. Just because everyone's flying past you, it doesn't matter. And then I was absolutely fine on the hills. You know, going up, people were like, oh, this is too hard. I'm like, I'm fine going uphill. So, and then on the flats where I could, I actually decided to really speed up. It's just a challenging course. So obviously taking your bike back into transition then, and you're onto the run. Now, the run, still, for my race, I felt like I'd just got out of the water at this point, but I hadn't. I was just very soggy. So the day before, I'd got my trail shoes and my road shoes, and I'd read on forums, what do I need? People were saying, oh, you'll be fine with road shoes, and others were saying trails. We went for a little run of part of the course near the sand ladder, and it was then I decided I'm going to wear my trail shoes, and that was one of the best decisions I've made. I could have done with a lighter pair of trail shoes. Mine were quite heavy, but I'll be honest, I would have really struggled in road shoes for this. It was sloppy. There was obviously a lot of traffic going over it. It was still raining. You're running on sand, but I really enjoyed that run. It was hard, and then, you know, there was points where I was running along, was like, you run under the bridge at one point, and I was like, oh my gosh, look where I am. In the last 2 miles on the way back in, it started to brighten up a bit and the rain had stopped by this point, and I was just thinking, oh my gosh, I'm gonna complete this. High five the race director as he went past. He was like, Annie! And just like was so happy that I had obviously made it out of the water and was all fine, and you know, enjoying myself and smiling. And on the finished shoot is on grass as well, so trail shoes are good, but it's on grass and you straight in, and it is the best feeling ever. There's a great buzz there, great atmosphere. In my particular year, you know, it was even harder with the weather, but as I always like to think with every race where there's like wind, rain or anything, everybody is dealing with the same thing. That's how you've got to look at it. Everybody is dealing with the same thing. You know, it's already a tough race, but when you've got wind and rain in there as well, it just makes it for it just makes it really difficult. But that made getting the medal even more rewarding. It's probably one of the best organised races I've ever been to, and I've obviously been to quite a lot of different races now. I found the process really good. The team were lovely, volunteers were lovely, race director was lovely. I just really enjoyed it. If you do get the opportunity, you do get a ballot spot, and it is something that you can fit in both time-wise and financially, then I would 100% recommend it. And you know, we've been laughing and saying, what has Annie Brooks, Clint Eastwood and Sean Connery all got in common? We all escaped from Alcatraz. That's really bad, I know. Before I go, everyone's asked me, as soon as I said I was doing Escape from Alcatraz, and if you've got a place, you know, people are probably going to say the same, aren't you worried about sharks? So we got told there is no sharks in the bay that are of a threat. There are sharks, but not anything to be concerned about. I had a very curious sea lion swim beneath me at one point. To be honest with you, I didn't really have much time to be concerned about any sharks with the swim. So hopefully this has given you a little bit of an insight. If you want the more nitty-gritty details of the race, head over to the website. Obviously this is more from an experience position on my part, so I'm just telling you how it was, but it was just the best. That's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this. Let me know if you're doing it too. Let me know if you did it this year with me. Hit the subscribe button and come and follow me on Instagram with my handle, It's Annie Bean, as I talk about all my other training. Anyway, that's it from me. Take care. Bye.